From 1985 to her semi-retirement in 2011, Dr. Jorgensen was project director with the Institute on Disability at the University of New Hampshire. There, she was the director of research, personnel preparation, model demonstration, and in-service training grants totaling over $12 million. She was a founder of the National Center on Inclusive Education, UNH's teacher certification program in intellectual and developmental disabilities, and the graduate certificate in autism spectrum disorders. At this time, Dr. Jorgensen maintains an affiliate faculty status with both the IOD and the UNH Education Department. So on behalf of the MDSC, I would like to welcome Dr. Cheryl Jorgensen.
Thank you, Maureen. So this semi-retirement thing is kind of interesting. I slept for 3 months after my last obligation was finished with the Institute on Disability, and sort of puttered around the house and did, started thinking I would get into sewing and gardening, and pretty soon I just really missed the work. So, except for teaching of university classes, I just find I'm as busy as ever. And coming to this conference every year and to the March conference is really a highlight of my year, so I thank you for inviting me back. So I'm kind of interested in finding out who you are. How many of you are here today primarily in the role of a parent, parent advocate, parent educator? Excellent. How many principals, superintendents are here? Excellent. So, 2. Yay! 3. Yay! How many special ed administrators, special ed directors? Great. Preschool teachers? Great. Elementary school teachers? Middle school? High school? How about speech language pathologist, OTs? Ooh, excellent. Yeah, a nice diverse group. So the one other question that will help me sort of get an orientation of you is to find out how many of you feel as if both of your feet are now fully in teaching using the Common Core State Standards. Okay, alrighty. So I've sort of developed the presentation assuming a few things, but not too awful much about your prior knowledge of the Common Core State Standards. So if I walk in front of this, it's going to block it, right? So I'm a walker, which you'll find out. So just let me give you a tiny bit of overview of what these Common Core State Standards are. The Common Core State Standards are meant to provide a consistent, clear understanding of what students are expected to know and to be able to do, so that their families and their teachers know what to do to prepare them. And it's to prepare them for college and for work after they get out of high school. And the Common Core State Standards, in some cases, are not really all that different from the academic standards or curriculum frameworks that have been in existence for many years in some states, but in other states they're really different. And the reason that all the governors in the country got together to look at the Common Core State Standards are kind of illustrated on this slide. Prior to the adoption of the state standards a few years ago, I think we're up to 45 states and some of the territories, there could be little consistency from state to state in what students were being taught at various grade levels. And perhaps further, more important for your group, there was little consistency in the curriculum that was offered to students with disabilities. And unfortunately, the gaps in performance between students without disabilities, students with disabilities, and also the gaps between white middle-class students, students of color, and poor students are still really broad, still really wide. So one of the goals of having Common Core state standards is this notion of greater consistency from state to state and a common set of expectations for all students. I know that No Child Left Behind was supposed to do that. It didn't really make all that much difference, unfortunately, because again, there were still these differences from state to state and even from school to school in one state. So another reason for the Common Core standards is to try to identify what are the learnings, what are the things that you want students to know and be able to do that are most directly linked to their later success in work and in college. Now, I've read the Common Core state standards. I don't know, how many of you have actually read them? Okay. They're still missing some things, which is a bit of a conversation for another day. Like, there's no Common Core state standard for, like, changing your own oil in your car. There's no Common Core state standard for, you know, keeping yourself safe on the internet, keeping your kids safe on the internet. There's no Common Core state standard for, you know, what's the etiquette these days in terms of, do you write written thank you notes or do you write text thank you notes? But the Common Core state standards are very academically based and are written primarily in the areas of English language arts, math, science, technology, engineering, there are not yet Common Core state standards in the areas of social studies and science, although certainly many states continue to promulgate standards in those areas. I think it's a shame that people haven't yet looked at the Common Core state standards in the arts and in areas like fitness and wellness, but again, conversation for another day. So, in the United States education system, we are really quite different from educational systems in other countries. In other countries, beginning in the later elementary years, students are tracked based on typically their performance on tests into a university track, like a 4-year or even post-4-year educational program. They're tracked into kind of a 2-year college degree program or into a vocational track. In our country, theoretically, we look at our young children as all having the same potential to go to college, to work, and to achieve sort of all those hallmarks of the American dream. Too often, however, when people have looked at a group of kids like this, kind of a diverse group of kids, they haven't held those highest expectations for children with disabilities. And the Common Core is intended in part to try to remedy that. So in the state of Massachusetts, just to give you a little bit of kind of the common terminology, this thing that the federal government and the states call the Common Core state standards, that really is equal to what's called the general ed curriculum. And in the state of Massachusetts, those Common Core standards are reflected in your curriculum framework.